welcome. I'm your host, Jammer, and welcome to the 34th annual Game of the Year Awards, my Game of the Years. We're going to be going over some of my favorite games of the year, the games that really impacted me the most and really have stuck with me, and that really, to me, defined 2019. Whether they came out this year or not, these were just my favorite games that I played this year. And let's not waste any more time and get into the list with a first entry that you might not be expecting. Overwatch is a game that I didn't really sink my teeth into until really, it's been about a year that I've been playing the game. I'm not really the biggest first-person shooter player myself, but so it really took me a while to kind of understand how to play the game in general. But of all the first-person shooters I've played, this has been one of my favorites. It's been really fun to see the transformation of my progress in the game, starting with not even knowing what character to play or what I'm even doing, to really start to get an understanding and mastery of, each of the game's modes. And not only that, finding characters that actually made sense to me. It was such a rewarding feeling to, eventually find a character that really suited my playstyle and then actually get good at them. It's been really fun following the new character rollouts like Baptiste, Sigma, Wrecking Ball, those two being a couple of my favorites now. And this year with the new role queue, the 2-2-2, forcing, team comps to be 2 tanks, 2 attack, and 2 healers, I really felt that change brought a really big breath of fresh air to the game and even inspired me to start trying to play a little competitive. It's been really enjoyable having a better understanding of the game and having that framework of the role queue to actually be paired up with good team comps rather than just, logging into a queue and, oh, I guess everyone's gonna be attacked this time around. It's a game that I played the most at the beginning of the year, but it was a game that I continually went back to throughout 2019. The much anticipated 4th campaign to the Shovel Knight Treasure Trove. Now, of course, because it just barely came out, I'm still barely getting started with King of Cards. But so far what I've played, I have fallen in love with the Shovel Knight series all over again. It's been so great to re-immerse myself back into that world, and it's really inspired me to want to replay some of the old campaigns again. Yacht Club has smashed it out of the park, of course, as always, with their excellent platforming design and musical soundtrack, and really bringing the whole Shovel Knight experience to a close with this final campaign. I can't say that the King Knight campaign is my new favorite or anything because I'm still kind of working through my thoughts on it. But I think it really does fit well at home with the rest of the Shovel Knight series. And it's just so great to see that this game finally coming to an end here with the Treasure Trove. I really did admire Yacht Club for trying to incorporate, the card game within the platforming game. It really did seem that they wanted to make this tile-based card game a thing, but instead of just launching it on its own and perhaps maybe not doing as well, tying it in organically with their typical, 2D platforming expertise that they already have. I think it really works smoothly, and the balance between the two is quite effective. I'll still be playing this game throughout the next month and probably even into the next year as I continue to finish up the King of Cards, replaying some of the previous campaigns, and then of course trying out the new Shovel Knight Showdown mode that I'd yet to even touch. Now you might be saying, I'm putting Smash Ultimate pretty low on the list. And well, believe it or not, there is a lot of other games up higher on this list that definitely deserve recognition. While Smash did come out at the end of last year, the main bulk of playing this game was really during this year. With the frequent updates of new modes and DLC characters, it was a game that felt constantly relevant. There's a reason that at the Game Awards that nearly everyone in the chat for that stream was begging for a 5th character DLC reveal. And I have so many fond memories throughout 2019 of live streams playing with you guys, going through World of Light, playing on my own, and of course the speculation and hype around these DLC fighters that have come with the Fighter Pass. This is a game that I probably even expect to be on next year's list as well, considering, well, they already announced that even additional more DLC fighters will come beyond the final 5th fighter. This is a game that I'll probably play forever, indefinitely, and will continue to be relevant throughout the rest of gaming forever. Overcooked 2 became a surprising addiction for me. Playing together co-op throughout both the first game and the sequel was an absolute blast, to the point where at the end of every day, the first thing on our mind was, let's play some Overcooked. When you first start off the game, you don't know what's going on because you're literally thrown into the fire, into the boiling pit. But the pacing throughout this game really ramps it up as the levels go, and you increasingly get better with every single level. The sequel is where it really shines, and a lot of the mechanics are truly refined. I have so many hilarious memories of the absolute disasters that happened in the kitchen. Stuff catching on fire, throwing ingredients in the river, about to submit a completed order and then, I don't know, dropping it in the trash can. So many fond cooperative memories, and this is a game that must be played with friends. Because of its simplistic nature and control scheme, really anyone can pick up a controller and play. So I had a lot of fun as well introducing new players to play with us, and I hold many fond memories there as well. Now I know what you're saying. Why is Breath of the Wild on this list? Having nearly 100%ed my personal save of Breath of the Wild, there really wasn't much I hadn't done in that game. But I found new joy in the game, experiencing it through the eyes of playing it with my girlfriend. The only Zelda game she'd ever played previously was Wind Waker with me last year. And her having expressed interest to wanting to give it a shot, we played through it together. And it's been so much fun to see how she interacts with the world. Of course, I know what's around every other hill, and I know solutions to shrines and how each quest can play out. Watching her experience the world for herself and creating even solutions I didn't even think of, it's been amazing watching the game design at work. As I try my best to go with a hands-off approach and let the game guide her, and watching from a third-person perspective and seeing everything just clicking just gave me immense satisfaction. I constantly find myself thinking about the journey we've had, some of the funny memories and experiences we've discovered, and also anticipating the new places we might discover together and other different stories we'll craft within the world while playing. Luigi's Mansion 3 kind of came as a surprise to me. While I did have a lot of fun playing it at E3 2019, it wasn't necessarily something I was totally anticipating, or at least looking forward to. And the reason I say that is because I never really ever played a Luigi's Mansion prior. I never played the original on GameCube or Dark Moon on the 3DS. It's not like I wasn't familiar with the series. I kind of knew what to expect with what Luigi's Mansion is all about, you know, sucking up ghosts, right? That's kind of all that's going on. But you know what? Next Level Games really impressed me with the design of this game. Just the level of presentation and quality with the cutscenes, the environment, set dressing, the gameplay, the mechanics, the puzzle solving, it all just totally worked. It was a game I continued to stay up late playing, just anticipating and looking forward to see what's going to be on the next floor. What really impressed me was how the different variety of environments for each level of the hotel. It really felt like the developers just had an absolute blast making this game and thinking of absolutely crazy different environments that this hotel could take place in. An overgrown garden, a weightlifting gym, or randomly a pirate ship and an ocean. Oh, did I mention there's a giant pyramid inside this hotel? It felt like there was nothing off limits, and the creativity and imagination really came to life in this game. I had no intention of trying to 100% the game upon going into it, but as I kept progressing, I never wanted it to end. So it really did encourage me to go back to those previous levels and to collect all the booze as well as all the gems. Really, all I have to say about Luigi's Mansion is it ended up being such an amazing surprise to me. A game that I really didn't know what was going on going into it, and ended up walking away absolutely loving it. Celeste is the name of the game that you've probably heard 100 times over now on plenty of different top tier or favorite game of the year lists. Now, I'm not typically one for insanely difficult platforming challenge, and you'd think that'd be the complete opposite because that's kind of what Celeste is. It is a very challenging platformer. But through this game's story and characters and frequency of checkpoints, yes, this game is hard, but you can do this. And even though you will probably die a lot, and when I say a lot, I mean a lot. What's great is there really is no punishment for deaths. Matter of fact, deaths are kind of seen as more of an achievement because every time you die, you learn something new about the platforming section you're working on or the level you're working through. So honestly, it feels kind of like an accomplishment at the end of a level when perhaps you do have hundreds upon hundreds of deaths, and then you see it as more, look what I achieved. I made it through this level even after all of these deaths. And I really think the success of this game comes from a combination of a ton of different factors. First off, of course, is the excellent control that is this platforming game. It really feels like Madeline is just an extension of your thumbs, and wherever you point, she will be. Because it takes a lot of work to beat the game, and when you do, there is a true sense of accomplishment. And I also really appreciate the accessibility options for this game, giving players the tools and options they need to complete the game, whether it means infinite jumps, just something to help them complete along with this process. It's really hard to put into words my experience with Celeste and how amazing it was in such a short segment in this Game of the Year thing. Because truly to me, it was an unforgettable experience. It's a game that I continue to still go back to and play, and I will continue to play for years to come. Honestly, I am not doing this game enough justice. I'm tripping over my words. I did not formulating these sentences correctly. But if you have any inkling of an interest of Celeste, it's a game I couldn't recommend more to anyone. Now, believe it or not, I'm not the biggest Fire Emblem fan. Really, the only game I've ever played is Fire Emblem 7 on the Game Boy Advance. And beyond that, I mean, I guess I played Fire Emblem Heroes, but I've never played any of the other entries. I skipped over all the 3DS titles, but I've kept up to date with the characters and stuff. Like, don't get me wrong. I know who Chrom is, I know who Lissa is, I know who Camilla is, I know all these faces from, you know, from just being in the Nintendo community. But I don't know what it is. I just never really had the opportunity to play these games. It's never been a series I didn't like. I really enjoyed my time with 7, and I also really enjoyed Heroes, but I don't know, it just never played them for some reason. So going into Three Houses, I didn't realize how addicted I would end up becoming. But what really drew me in were the characters. Characters that I thought would be absolutely annoying ended up being some of my favorites. Marianne being the classic, oh, I'm shy, oh, don't bother me, you know, like that kind of character trope. As soon as I saw her on in my class, I was like, oh, really, it's gonna be one of these characters. But as the game progressed, I was able to get to know this cast of characters. I absolutely fell in love with her, as well as many other members in the Golden Deer class. This game has got some meat to it. Depending on which of the 3 houses you choose, this story structure is relatively the same. The really big difference, of course, is who your main cast of characters for the story will be. But as soon as you start getting into late game stuff, that's when the game truly divides into totally different experiences. It blows my mind how much they put into this one game, and truthfully, 3 houses could have been 3 separate games nearly, each house respectively being one of them. You can get so much out of just this one game. And even after completing my first playthrough, I was immediately inspired to follow up and go through it again with a new house. It does a great job of balancing the battles, as well as, you know, interacting with your classmates, as well as, you know, exploring the monastery. It really gives a balance to the gameplay, so it isn't just battle after battle after battle and it gets tedious. You know, there is a diversity enough to the gameplay where you really can choose how you want to go about playing the game. There's so much more I could go on about the game. The score, the art style, really top-notch voice acting for basically every character in the game, even just side random characters. This game was a great reminder that yes, this is what a AAA game is. This is the level of quality that a AAA game brings. It is an absolutely addictive game, and should have honestly been my game of the year. But we still have 2 more to go. With all the praise that I've given 3 houses, and it's only the 3rd one on this list, you know, that really says something about these final 2 games. Do you ever get tired of everyday life? Do you ever feel like the stresses of school or work, just society in general, just starts to bog you down? Do you ever just want to go back to a simpler life where all you got to think about is what plants I'm going to water tomorrow? That's Stardew Valley. It's a game that I've heard about for a while, and I did play a good amount of Harvest Moon in the past. Magical Melody specifically being one of my favorites. But it's a series that I kind of fell off of since, and I didn't realize it was an itch I was looking to be scratched. Stardew is one of those games where once you get going, all of a sudden you look up at the clock and you realize, oh, it's been 5 hours. I should probably eat. I should probably go outside. Although I'm pretty sure the smithing shop is open tomorrow, and it's supposed to rain, so then if I can upgrade my watering can in that meantime, and then while I'm doing that, I can go to the mine, and then maybe I can get some ore, maybe try to collect something new, and then maybe put that into the new... This game is completely open-ended, and it really feels like you can do whatever you want in each day. There is guidance and objectives where you can complete your community center, but beyond that, what you do is really up to you. While there's a lot of simplicity to just farming and making money side of things, there's also a lot of complexity into what crops are the most efficient per season, how to best increase your relationships with your villagers, and it's one of those games that kind of just encourages you to have the wiki up next to you while you're playing the game. Stardew has truly become one of my favorite games I have ever played. And what's even better is the fact that this game is multiplayer. I unfortunately had no one on Switch to play it with, but if I had, I can very well guarantee that I would still be playing this game consistently. This game got me through some hard months when real life was bogging me down. I know I could always settle in at the end of the night, visit my farm, and just have an absolutely relaxing time. Now, before we get to the final game of this year, you might be thinking, well, you kind of blasted through most of the major releases for Nintendo. I mean, like, where are you going with this? And I think before we go to this final game, I think it's definitely worthwhile to give some honorable mentions. First being Mario Maker 2, specifically its story mode. I did play a lot of Mario Maker at its initial release. It didn't necessarily hold my interest for a while afterwards, but for the first month of the game coming out, I did very much consistently play that game. I think it's also worth giving a shout out to, of course, Splatoon 2, where I didn't necessarily play that game a lot throughout this year, But I really want to give credit to the Final Fest. That was such a memorable experience in gaming for me. And then finally, I want to, of course, give a shout out to one of my favorite games, Hollow Knight. It didn't make sense to put it on this year's list because the first time I played it was, in fact, last year. But I did do a replay earlier this year playing the game, and it's still something I continue to go back to and absolutely adore. Back in March of this year, I kind of sat down and I was really looking for some new games to play. Eventually, I did end up purchasing a lot of the games that I already even listed on this list. Stardew, Celeste, Overcooked. But as I thought, I was reminded of one game that I did own, but didn't really play too much of when I actually got it. And that was, of course, Minecraft. For a few weeks, I started up my own new survival world. I made my little house, I made some farms, I kind of got a little bit of footing started, but you know, similar to how my approach was when I first played the game, once I got going pretty well, but I quickly started to lose a little bit of interest just because I didn't feel, I don't know, I just kind of started to lose the inspiration. But that all changed when I convinced my girlfriend to play with me as well. It was a rainy weekend, and the forecast was pouring rain for the entire weekend. We had nothing to do. And that moment at 11 a.m. in May sparked something that I never could have imagined. All of a sudden, we looked up and it was 8 p.m. the same day. We ate dinner and went back right to it till nearly 1 in the morning. The following day, non-stop playing Minecraft. And that's how our evenings went for months and months and months throughout the rest of the spring, summer, and even till today. We have poured tons of hour into our world and have crafted so many beautiful memories. Coincidentally, Minecraft did really get big on the internet again during the time that we were already playing it. Yes, I want to say that I am a hipster and I was before the curve, but it was still really cool to see life being put back into this game while I was already re-experiencing it as well at the same time. It truly is a game of infinite possibilities and is without a doubt the best game of even the decade. I said it was hard for me to get into Minecraft at the start, and that's just because I was playing alone. This is a game that was truly meant to be played together. Being able to experience new things together, exploring new biomes, creating amazing structures, having near-death and funny moments in caves. There is an endless amount of memories that we've made in that game in just this year alone. And it is without question my game of the year 2019. What were your favorite games of 2019? Please let me know in the comments below. This was a lot of fun to kind of recap all the games I've played, and it was kind of hard to even pick and let alone even actually like organize which games I actually thought were my favorites, because honestly from like 6 upwards were some of my favorite gaming memories this year. But I'd love to hear what you've been playing. Be sure to just give this video a big awesome like, and if you haven't already, definitely subscribe for tons more, and look forward to next year as we continue to make even more great gaming memories. Thanks again, guys, so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. See ya!